No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey, gardeners. Looks like we got George here loving on some catnip.
Good stuff, Georgie boy. Huh? You like that catnip? Yeah.
All right, let's get growing.
Oh my, I got to get my buttons right. All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Let's Get Growing here on the Urban Gardener channel. My name's Enoch. It's so awesome to see all of you here. We got a really great show for you and a special guest coming up here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned for that. They're coming up here in a moment. And if you all are here with us live, be sure hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button there for us here. And also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and that bell notification so you can be notified of our upcoming episodes on our channel here, and as well share with all of your friends. Share our channel and let everybody know about our Let's Get Growing show and all the great things that we've got going on here on our show and all these wonderful, awesome guests. We're going to be talking a lot about that today on our show. And as well, you can come check us out at letsgetgrowing.live. That's our website. And right at the top of the show, I want to give a big, huge shout out to all of you who are watching on our replays. Our replays get a lot of views, and I know a lot of you watch us when you get the opportunity, as well as those of you who are joining with us live as well too. But a big, huge shout out to all of you watching on the replay. And if you've got any comments or any questions about today's show or any suggestions for future shows, get down into the comment section below and let me know all about it. I'd love to hear your questions, your comments, and let me know what you think. And also, real quick, too, really good way to support our show is to support our sponsor, Ivy Organics. You can check out Ivy Organics at ivyorganics.com. Use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, to get 10% off in their shop there. And also, if you have any questions or comments as well too, if you're joining with us live, get right into that comment section right there and let me know. I'd love to answer any questions you might have. And if you have any comments or anything like that as well, to let us know, and we might feature them right here on the show. If you have any questions for our guest coming up as well, too, we'd love to have those as well. And also, come join with us on our Let's Get Growing Facebook group, our Let's Get Growing group. It's a great place for you to be able to share your gardens with all of us in our urban gardener community. So get down in the description below. There's also a link down there for our Facebook group, Let's Get Growing group. I'd love to see you all there and see what you have growing on in your gardens. So, all right, here we are. We've got, again, like I said, a really great show today. We're going to basically just be kind of doing a fun little rundown of our 2023 season here on the Let's Get Growing and Urban Gardener channel here. And also we'll be talking a bit about what's going on in 2024. I've got some ideas and I got some things that we'll be talking about, as well as I'm going to reveal to everybody who our very first guest is going to be for our first episode of Let's Get Growing for 2024. So stay tuned as well. I'm going to announce that as we get on later on in the show. It's really awesome too. So you're going to want to hear about this. This is going to be great. I'll give just one hint. This person who's going to be our first guest was actually the top person I had on my kind of list of people I thought that would be kind of difficult to get for one, but yet I really, really wanted on the show. So I had this kind of top dream list for guests on the show that I was going to reach out to and see if I could get on the show. And this person, the very top person, said yes, and they're going to be on the show this next year for our very first one, and I'll announce who that is a little bit later on in the show, so stay tuned to that as well, because we've got a lot of great things coming up for 2024 as well. We had a really great year, as you could tell with the title of the show. What a year. This was a really awesome year for our show, Let's Get Growing, and we're looking forward to having a really awesome year next year. But I also need to take a little bit of a break. I've been kind of running nonstop in 2023. That's kind of been my story, you know. I've been doing a lot of really fun things, getting a lot of things done, but we've also been doing a lot of really awesome things here on the Let's Get Growing show too, as we'll talk about here a little bit more on the show. But I'm going to have to take a break here as well too. So this will be the final show of 2023, the final show of the 21st, basically first year, first season of Let's Get Growing. We're going to be back in probably I'm going to say the middle of February. We're working on a first date right now with our first guest, and we'll get all that lined up. We'll get all that stuff announced. So that's when we'll get started with our next episodes in the 2024 year of the Let's Get Growing show. But I will be here with doing some live streams as well too. So we'll talk all about that coming up a little bit later in the show as we talk about all of our rundowns and all of that as well too. So yeah, again, thank you all so much for joining with us. I need to catch up with everybody here real quick before we get moving on here and talking to our special guest that we have with us. I kind of give everybody a shout out here. I saw that we had Connie joining with us right on the top of the show. Also, really great to see you, Connie. Thank you for joining with us today. And I also saw with us here Rob from Rob's Allotment Gardening. Awesome. He says, good evening. Yeah, it's evening for Rob over in England there too. So it might be a little bit earlier in the day for all of us here in the States, but for Rob, it's in the evening time. He joins with us here. And he says, I hope you all had a good Christmas. Yes, absolutely. Wonderful Christmas this year. I got one of the coolest, awesomest gifts I could ever imagine. It's something I will be talking about, as we move into next year and all that sort of stuff too as well. But yeah, really wonderful, awesome Christmas this year too, Rob. I hope yours was just as special. Thank you for joining with us today. And let's see, who else would I see in here? We've got, of course, we've got our good friend Jay Dixon moderating our comment section for us. Jay, awesome. Good to see you here. It's always great to have Jay moderating in our comment section. He does a great job and puts in all the links and kind of follows as he's following along with us and makes sure that we're able to access all the really good information that we're talking about throughout our shows. Jay has been just a really awesome part of our show this year too as well too. So huge shout out to Jay. All right. Yeah, already in there with the IV Organics link and all of that too, and the link to our Facebook group. Thanks again. Yes, awesome, Jay. Really awesome. And oh yeah, let's see here. Rob said, I just got 72 new subscribers in 5 days. Wow, am I happy. That is so awesome. Well, let's see if we can add a few more. go check out Rob's Allotment Gardening there, and go give him a subscribe too as well to his channel. Show him some support from the urban gardener here, and help add to all of those subscribers that he's seen here on his channel as well too. That's one of the great things, and one of the real fun things about being able to do this channel, and to be able to talk with all of the different gardeners that we have throughout the 2023 season, that we'll be talking about here throughout the show today, is to be able to also kind of talk with and connect with smaller YouTubers, smaller channels, and be able to kind of forward promote those channels as well too. We're not that big of a channel here, but we do have a little bit of an audience and an opportunity to be able to share with others all of the great things that some of these other smaller channels are doing. So that's really, really something awesome. Okay. So yes, definitely. So if you are here, join with us live, and you haven't gotten into the comment section yet so far, jump into the comment section. Let me know you're there, and I'd love to say hi to you as well here as we move on with the show here. So just, I don't know, a little while ago, couple of months ago, our guest today started a new adventure, and I kind of wanted to talk about a couple of things before we bring our guest on here, and just kind of round out a couple of things, and start with, today I'm wearing my Praxis 55712 shirt, and I don't know if everybody is familiar with Praxis 55712. It is actually a retired gardening channel that was started by a gardener on YouTube named Ray Browning. And when I first started my garden adventure many, many years ago, after I started my cucumber, I wanted to grow some tomatoes and some peppers and these sort of things like that. So I went right to YouTube, of course. I wanted to find out and learn, and YouTube was the place we went to learn about new things. So growing food and growing these types of things was new to me at that time, and so I went on YouTube and started searching out all these different videos to find information on growing these tomatoes, and I fell upon the channel Praxis 55712 by Ray Browning, and he shared all about his Praxis method of growing tomatoes, which is really a deep growing. I mean, it's just kind of like an extra deep. A lot of people teach about planting tomatoes deep. Ray teaches about kind of like an extra deep type of method, where you kind of take one plant and almost turn it into like 4, maybe even 5 different plants, it almost seems like. But it's kind of really just an extra deep type of method that he does. And I thought it was really kind of cool, and started following along with all the different videos and things that he was putting out, as well as a bunch of other YouTubers as well. But Ray was one of those guys I just really liked catching up with each and every new video that he put out and everything. So I was a huge fan of Ray's. And Ray eventually started a seed shop called the Little Shop of Seeds, and his mission was to, put out a seed shop of some of the essential seeds that all of us gardeners like to grow in our gardens, and offer them very inexpensively with, basically just basic packaging, and just really low cost for your different varieties of seeds. And it was a really great idea and all of that. And eventually Ray decided to retire, and he started retiring his channel and all these other things like that too. We talked about Ray's seed shop actually in a video I did, a top 10 video. We were working on doing some top 10 videos, and I did a top 10 video on top 10 seed shops, and one of the kind of honorable mentions of the top 10 seed shops, because Ray's was an online only, so we weren't doing like an online only one. So I kind of promoted and talked about his seed shop, because he was one of those kind of, I think really in a sense, kind of one of those first just kind of like online only type of seed shops. But yeah, really great project. But finally he retired. But I'll also tell this story as well too. I started my channel about, I think, gosh, 6 7 years. I might maybe even longer, I'm not even sure. But I started my channel, and one of the things that I did to kind of promote my channel early on, because Ray was a huge inspiration to me, and a couple of reasons why I actually, there were several different things. There were people who talked to me here locally who really liked some of the things I was doing gardening. So it's some of the things that they said, but it was also a promotion, a giveaway that Ray did on his channel, where he was giving away his cameras. He had these old cameras. He had a new camera he was using, so he's giving away his old cameras to viewers. And he kind of had a giveaway contest, and I entered this contest. I didn't even know what I would do, but I think that's where the seed started. That's where it was planted. It was at this time when I was entering to win these cameras that I really didn't know what I was going to do with at the time when I got into the contest. But ultimately I didn't win. But again, like I said, it planted this seed. And so eventually I started my own gardening channel, the Urban Gardener here, and Ray helped me out. I actually filmed a couple of different videos and things that I did that that you'll never see. They don't exist on my channel actually, but Ray watched them, and he helped me kind of, he critiqued and helped give me some advice and all that sort of stuff, and really kind of helped me on my way in getting myself started with my channel. So he was a huge part of why my channel exists. And so one of the other things he did for me too was he let me promote my channel through his page and all of that. So I started promoting some of my first videos right through his page and through his channel and everything. And that's where I got some of my very first subscribers to the Urban Gardener channel. And there was one particular subscriber who subscribed to my channel and started commenting and started following along with everything I was doing as far as Facebook and all that sort of stuff, and was just really, really supportive. And this viewer and listener to our channel also was a big part of Ray's channel as well too. And Ray even talked about her in one of his videos. I even remember years ago. And so just a huge support. And when you're doing something like this and you're taking on a venture of such a sort like we've done here with the Urban Gardener channel, that early support is so important. I mean, it really, I can't even express how much it really means to me that people, and I still have, and there's several other people too. Chris from Norway that we have on the show every now and then. He's been one of those, again, one of those people who were one of those first subscribers because of Ray's channel, who came over and started watching, who's a huge part of what I do. And again, it's this initial support, these people and all that really make some of these things that we do really, really special. And it's really special that people support us, like and I'll just say now it's viewer Nancy, and Nancy Hood, and she's been one of the, again, you'll see her in the comment section almost every single time. You'll see her on Facebook, commenting and talking with everybody. She's a big part of our Let's Get Growing Facebook group, where she shares her gardening and all of that, as well as all of the wonderful things that she says in the comment section, and really kind of engages with everybody, and is just a huge part of what we do here on Let's Get Growing. So it's a real big reason why when her daughter Sarah started her seed shop, which we'll talk about here a little bit more, also relates to my story and what Ray Browning at Praxis 55712 was doing. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a bit. But that all together there kind of is the reason why I started showing you this here a few weeks ago to promote Sarah's Seed Shop. It's sarahseedshop.com, and is all a part of this whole story that I'm talking about. And that is today's special guest that we have with us today, is and I thought would be just a really great opportunity here, being our last show for the year, would be to have Sarah on the show with us today so that she can talk about her seed shop, and we could talk all about her garden story and all of that as well too. So let's welcome to the Let's Get Growing show, Sarah Hood from Sarah's Seed Shop. Hey Sarah, how are you doing?
Hey, Enoch, it's great to be here.
Awesome to see you and have you here on the show. So thanks for joining with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Excellent. So here, right at the top of the show, I just want to give you a moment just to introduce yourself to everybody. I've kind of given this little rundown of this little story, but I want to let you kind of introduce yourself to everybody here, and let us know about yourself a little bit.
Well, my name is Sarah, and I've been around gardening for all my life. My dad gardens some too, but my mom has been the one to do it every single year. Just always grew up with a garden in our backyard. And so when I bought my own place, I was thrilled because it had a big backyard. And my thought when I saw the place was, yay, I can have my own garden. And so I've been continuing, with a backyard garden every year since I bought my place. It's been about 5 or 6 years, and it wasn't always my thing. My mom would say that, I didn't care much to help in the garden when I was a kid, but I feel like it's an important thing to do. And now as an adult, like, I love being out there. I love getting my hands dirty. I love planting and harvesting and just being out in the fresh air. So yeah, that's kind of my background. Mom and I both bought seeds from Little Shop of Seeds for several years, and we're pretty sad to hear when Ray was going to be retiring. And so I just had this idea one day. I wonder if he might sell his seed shop to me. And so I talked to him, or my mom actually reached out to him, and then I started talking to him, and he suggested I start my own seed shop. And so I decided to give it a try. I didn't know what I was getting into, but it's been a great adventure, and I'm really, happy to be continuing what he started.
Yeah, that is such, again, too, why I wanted to start this little interview with those kind of couple of little backstories there, was to kind of lead up to that whole idea, that it was, I remember when Ray was announcing that he was, stopping making videos. So I was like, oh, okay. And then it was shortly after that he was, going to shut down his seed shop. And when I heard about that, I was like, oh, okay, that's a bummer. But man, when I heard that you were taking this over a couple of months ago, or a few months back, when your mom was talking about it, I was like, oh, and it was I thought it was just such a perfect fit, kind of in what I was talking about with those stories. Was like, oh, okay, this is really awesome. Nancy's daughter taking over Ray's legacy and kind of taking this into the next generation and everything too. We talk about what, on our show as well, and on my channel, a lot about gardening education and teaching young people about gardening and all that sort of stuff. And I like how you mentioned too that your mom would say that you didn't help out too much in the garden or that sort of stuff. And that's really great to admit as well too. I don't know what I would have done necessarily as a kid myself when it came to those sort of gardening chores and things like that. If I had that opportunity to do that sort of stuff, I might have been very similar. But those sort of things do really kind of stick with you as well too. I mean, I did have a lot of early plant education when I was growing up and all of that as well too. So a lot of that stuff does stick with you and comes back around as you get older. And I think that's sort of something that you're figuring out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I I love it now. I mean,
Yeah.
it is something from my past,
Yeah.
that's always kind of stuck with me, even though I didn't always want to do it myself. Um, it's
Hmm.
it's a hobby now.
Yeah, yeah. And again, too, a hobby, yeah, you get more out of your garden. I love to say this all the time. You get more than tomatoes out of your garden. The food is awesome. The food is great, but all of these other things and aspects of gardening that we get back from our gardens are just really, really awesome. And it's something that I really love seeing people kind of get into and explore and find that passion for growing and doing things as I see that you've come around to as well too. So let's talk a little bit about gardening. How did your garden grow this year?
Well, it went to weeds mostly.
Yeah,
I was trying some new things and didn't really. I kind of made like a raised bed in part of my garden without really getting the weeds out from underneath, and they grew right through. And so
yeah,
I had a lot of grass. I've got nice thick grass in my backyard, which is
right,
great, but it's been a challenge to get rid of. And um
yeah.
so I had grass growing really well. um I also had a lot of garlic. I grew both. I think it's a I can't remember the variety of garlic, but some that my mom grows that I started growing as well.
Is it the
Just
German hardneck variety?
that sounds right. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Same variety I grow as well.
yeah. So I grew that, and then I also grew elephant garlic this year,
Oh, excellent.
and they both did really well. So I made a lot of garlic powder, and I've still got
Yeah,
some of the elephant garlic bulbs, which I've
right.
been using, and I also added them to the seed shop to sell in case
Oh,
anyone wanted
excellent.
to buy them. So
That's great.
other than that, grew a lot of potatoes, grew some sweet potatoes, did pretty good with poblano peppers. Um, and
Yeah.
I grew a variety of tomato called spoon tomatoes.
Oh,
They're
the little ones.
Yeah, they're little tiny
Okay.
tomatoes, and
Yeah.
they went wild. They were
Oh,
awesome. I couldn't keep
I
up with
heard. Yeah, I heard
it.
those are so prolific. I've got
Yeah,
to try those sometime. Those sound really great.
they taste really good.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Did you get all of your garlic for next year all planted out?
Yeah, it's all out there.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I was actually just talking about elephant garlic, I think last week. Um, I skipped a couple of years growing garlic here in the alleyway and decided to start some new garlic this year. So I got and decided I was going to go with a soft neck variety in the alleyway because we grow that German hard neck variety that your mom sent me actually a few years ago. So I've had it, I think, now 4 years, and we've turned two bulbs of garlic that your mom sent me in the mail, two bulbs of garlic into I think over 300 that will be growing this next for our plot this next year. And I showed it at the beginning of the show last week, all of the 300 little garlics popping up out of the ground across the plot and everything. So I think that's really kind of amazing how prolific garlic can be in you can start with just a little bit one season, and a couple of seasons later you've got more than you ever need.
Yeah.
But I skipped growing here in the alleyway these soft neck varieties and my elephant garlic. and I really like elephant garlic as well. And so I thought, okay, well, I need to get back onto growing elephant garlic again. And man, was I so bummed that I actually stopped growing elephant garlic, because when I went there, it was like $10 a pound.
Yes.
I was like, $10 a pound. Are you kidding me? I can't believe this.
Yeah,
But so
it's
I
not
still bought one, and with elephant garlic, you get 6 cloves. I think most of them are 6 cloves. If you get something different, it's it can happen, but for the most part, you're going to get 6 cloves. And so we put those 6 cloves out there, and then I estimate by next year we'll have what 6 times 6, so that would be 36. So if I plant 30 of those out, we'll end up having like another couple hundred elephant garlic in a couple of seasons. I won't grow that much, but we could have that much.
Yeah, it's the
Right
amazing
on.
thing about garlic,
Yeah,
the way
that's
it
right on.
multiplies.
So you're carrying on that tradition as well too. The garlic tradition. But
Yep.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Anything that's your favorite thing to grow? What's your favorite thing to grow in your garden?
Probably peppers.
Yes.
I love harvesting them. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about them, but they're a lot of fun. I only
Yeah.
had 2 poblano pepper plants in my garden this year, but
Right.
they both produced really well, and they're just a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah, that's another thing I didn't grow this last year was my poblanos. And I have this one little section. I usually grow 3 poblanos, and I call them my tres poblanos amigos. The 3 poblano friends,
Mhm.
and yeah, I have this little spot. They grow every year, and I didn't grow them last year. I will grow this next year because I love poblanos. They're probably one of my favorite peppers. But again, too, like you said, they're fun to harvest because you get all these different cool varieties, and because the pods are just neat, and there's just vary so much, and there's so
Yeah.
many different types to grow, whether you like sweet or you like hot or super hot. So many awesome, cool, fun varieties of peppers to grow. I love them as well too. So let's talk a little bit more about the seed shop. So Ray decided to shut down Little Shop of Seeds, which I talked about. We promoted on our top 10 seed shops a season or two ago. And again, I was really bummed when that happened. And again, a couple of months ago, I heard you were taking it over. So let's get into that story just a little bit more. What was it that inspired you really when it first came to you that, hey, I want to start my own seed shop, and let me go talk to Ray about that?
I think it was just not wanting what he had started to be lost. Um,
Hmm.
I I don't know anywhere else where you can get seed packets for 75 cents.
Right.
I mean, it's the prices are incredible.
Hmm.
And I've benefited from his seed shop for the past several years, and I just when I heard he was retiring, I wanted it to continue.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure I'm not sure what inspired me to actually give it a try, but I guess I got the idea in my head and it wouldn't go away. And so one day I just said, "Hey mom, see if Ray might be see what he
Yeah.
thinks of this." And so he gave her some good advice and thoughts, and
Yeah.
suggested that I start my own shop. And it was shortly after that he posted on Facebook that he was selling the rest of his stock from Little Shop of Seeds,
Hmm.
and he he just said that he was selling it and for people to make offers. And so I made an offer for it, told him what I was trying to do, and
Yeah.
he sold it to me and shipped me a couple boxes of seeds and a box
Yeah.
of bubble wrap mailers that he also had.
All right.
And it was a lot of fun getting those boxes in the mail and just looking through these gallon Ziploc bags full of garden seeds. And I'd never seen so many seeds in one place at once. It was
Right.
a lot of fun. Um, So yeah, I wanted to continue, what he started, and
Yeah.
that's where the inspiration came from, I guess.
Yeah. What were those first seeds he sent you?
There were, I think, about 40 different varieties.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there
So,
were golden acre, red acre cabbage, 3 different kinds of carrots,
yeah.
nasturtiums, giant noble spinach, just a
These
wide variety.
basically varieties that you have on your shop now.
Yeah, these are the ones that I'm selling right now.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. All right. So out of all of those, what are your favorite varieties that you got in your seed shop?
Probably the Nantes carrots and the giant noble spinach. I
Yeah.
love to grow carrots, and that
Yes.
particular variety is so easy to grow. And so I love growing those. And then spinach also is super easy to grow, tastes delicious.
Yes.
So those are probably my favorites.
Yeah. I totally agree when it comes to spinach. I think I was talking about spinach as well last week too, because we got a bunch growing in the garden over at my friend's place where we're growing all the garlic. It's our little micro farm we've got, and there's spinach growing out there. It's so good when it gets cold like this too.
Yeah. Yeah,
So sweet and delicious.
you can almost grow it right through the winter in a lot of
Yeah.
places.
Yep. Yep. That's what I was
Yeah.
talking about too. The best stuff I've eaten, actually, I pulled out of the snow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my mom grew spinach and beets and carrots and several different things in her greenhouse a couple years ago, and they survived through the winter in Missouri, which I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Right on. Right on. Actually, let me see here. I think Jay put a question. Let's start going back to your garden here. Let's see here. This was for Sarah. How will you solve your is it raised beds? Are you growing in raised beds? Or are you just going
I
directly?
didn't build the raised beds, but I basically piled several inches of soil on top of the ground. I
The
mowed the
existing
grass.
soil.
Yeah, I mowed the grass really, really short and then piled a bunch of dirt on top.
Yeah.
How will
You
I
got it.
solve the problem with the weeds and grass?
Yeah, yeah. What's
Um,
your ideas on what you're gonna do there? Take care of
I'll
that.
I'll probably actually dig it this year.
Yeah,
Depending on how bad it is. I actually, once I harvested what I was growing there, I put down layers of black plastic to solarize the area. And
yeah,
so I solarized the entire area for starting, I think, in June or July, because I'd had like early spring crops there. And so once I harvested those, I put down the plastic and solarized for several months. And so we'll see if the grass comes back as badly. And if it does, I'll probably just dig it and dig some of those roots out of there and
yeah.
probably put down a thick layer of mulch next year.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really all you can do is really try to like pull it, cover it, try to, keep it, suppress it is what really when it comes down to it, because grass just really likes to spread and all of that, especially if you got a really, like you said, at ground level type of in-ground garden.
Yeah.
Grass will just try to get in there constantly. So it's just something you got to try to keep on top of, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't always weed eat back there because it's quite a distance. I've got a long backyard and it's pretty far back there, and so it can be kind of a pain to get the weed whacker back there and the lawnmower. So I don't
Yeah.
always keep the grass under control, and then it really starts spreading into the garden, but gonna try to do
Yeah.
better at it this year.
Yeah, I will. I think that's just really the story for all of us gardeners. We've got to spend the time, to take care of a lot of that sort of stuff. And sometimes, like you said, it's like, oh man, I've got all these things I need to do today, and this is going to take up this much. So we always kind of push those kind of bigger, more troublesome projects to the side, and we end up having to, like you said, dig out a ton of grass and deal with all that sort of stuff because of it. But is what we got to do. That's the fun of gardening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Excellent. So, any plans in 2024? Anything? What are you looking forward to here this next year?
Well, I'm going to be attempting to promote the seed business as I move forward. I'm thinking of writing more blog posts to go on the site and maybe connecting with other bloggers and just guest posting. I write for a living. I'm a freelance writer, and so I
Excellent.
think just blogging and guest blogging is a good place to start as far as promoting the business, and also just focusing more on social media posts and
Yeah.
just putting the word out there, letting
Mhm.
people know about the seed shop. And
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to other work opportunities. I'm trying to move forward with my writing and editing as well, and just finding new opportunities there. So just
Yeah.
looking forward to a couple of different, entrepreneurial endeavors in the next year.
That's really, really awesome. I really love it. I mean, it's just, really inspiring to see, young folks taking initiative and really, putting themselves out there in order to, and taking these risks and all of that as well when it comes down to it, to, start ventures like you're doing, not just with your seed shop, but as with your writing. And these are independent ventures, and it's just really inspiring to see you do that. And again, too, to really, like I said, take on this seed shop and this, like I said, this legacy that Ray Browning has left for us. I really love the similarity kind of in the stories, between you getting started with the seed shop and me actually starting my channel years ago.
Yeah.
Ray helped me right along with that as well too, as I shared with everybody, and really inspired me as far as I might do different type of content and do that sort of stuff. These were the sort of things and discussions we actually had, when I was first starting my channel, and he helped me with kind of a focus on what I was looking to do and all that sort of stuff. And was really important, like I said, to what I was doing. So in some way, I I do maybe little different type of content, but yet I feel kind of like I try to carry on his legacy as well with what I do with my channel too, and that sort of stuff too. So again, it's really awesome to see yourself, taking on his little shop of seeds and turning it into Sarah's Seed Shop and
Yeah.
continuing that legacy.
It was a great thing he started, and I don't want to see it die.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, and again, too, doing the same thing, you know, uh, offering everybody these really cool essential seeds. Only 75. Actually, real quick before we go, let's talk about this real quick. 75 cents a packet. I
Yeah.
mean, you're continuing this. I love this. And not only that, and I should have, and I'm actually mad at myself right now. I should have brought over that packet of seeds because I did order from you
I've
to show
actually
what.
I've actually got some right here. I
Oh,
can
let's see if you put that up there. I mean, you're getting a
campaign
ton of
seeds.
seeds for 75 cents.
Yeah.
More seeds than what you're going to get in one of those packets for 2, 3, 4 bucks even. You'll see on those seed shelves and through seed catalogs actually. Yeah, look at all that spinach you're going to get. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a lot of seeds. There we go.
Is that those are pepper seeds?
Yeah.
You
Orange
ain't getting that.
habaneros.
Oh man, I was gonna say you sent me some of those, I believe too. I was gonna like
Yeah.
all the pepper seeds. It's so many. It's awesome. But yeah, again too, lots and lots of seeds. So you're definitely getting your money's worth. And go to her shop, buy a bunch of seeds, and support Sarah at sarahseedshop.com. And again, Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time this Saturday to come hang out with us here on Let's Get Growing and talk about your little seed shop with us.
Absolutely. It's been great. Thank you so much.
You got it. You got it. And everybody get down in the description below. There's a link right down there. And if you're joining with us live, I'm sure Jay has put a link in our comment section as well, too, to Sarah's Seed Shop. And Sarah, we'll see you here in a little bit.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
All right, all right, all right. How awesome was that to have a fun little conversation with Sarah Hood from Sarah's Seed Shop, our good friend and viewer Nancy Hood's daughter, carrying on our friend and legacy gardener on YouTube, Ray Browning from Praxis 55712. So a really great conversation. Really happy to have her here on our final show of 2023 here on Let's Get Growing. I mean, what a year. Like I said in our title there, we've had such an amazing, amazing year. And our last conversation that we just had with Sarah was just a nice really kind of period on the year, kind of an emphasis, almost an exclamation point on our year of all of the awesome and wonderful people we've gotten to talk to this year, and all these really great conversations and discussions all around all of our favorite thing to do, and that's gardening and growing and sharing in our passion for all of these just wonderful green things in our lives that we love growing. And again too, so that's what kind of I want to kind of talk about here for just a little bit. I was kind of trying to do a little bit of a count when it came to the guests we've had on our show. And real quick here, I wanted to actually real quick here see. We had someone jumping in there. Janet Cruising Homestead, I saw in there. Thanks for joining with us. I just wanted to say hi to you there. Thanks for jumping into our comment section there. And thanks for joining with us there too. But yeah, as I was saying, we've had around 50 different guests on our channel this year. And one of the things I think really has just really been awesome is just really how cool and awesome it's been to have the conversations with the people that I've gotten to talk to this year. And this whole idea for this show kind of started a few years ago, coming really through the whole pandemic time as we were all moving and doing Zoom meetings. And at this point in time, I was starting to discover this program, StreamYard, that we use to produce the show with. And it really kind of gave me the idea to really kind of expand on the live streams that I was doing at the time. You won't find those really actually on the channel. I was just thinking about this the other day as I was going through some of the older content on the channel. I was like, and remembering that I took all of those off, actually, all those old live streams that we used to do. I mean, there's a few. I mean, I think that I left on there from just the last year before we started the show here. And, but, it was just a lot of just me kind of rambling on, just like I'm doing right now. Just kind of like how it is at this moment. But, I just kind of thought that, I've gotten to go out and meet some of these really cool people and make some videos and visit people in their gardens and have these really great connections with some of these really awesome gardeners that I got to do through the video side of what we were doing with the Urban Gardener channel. And I thought, well, one of the cool things that's going on with this whole Zoom thing coming out of the pandemic is, all of us being able to talk to each other from wherever we're at. You know, I'm limited pretty much, to the West Coast in a sense when it comes to going to visit gardeners, to going and making videos. I'd love to have a budget. Again, as I like to emphasize with people, I work a day job, I have a regular job, and it pays the bills. And this is all what I do in a sense for fun and to kind of expand on what I do for my enjoyment with the garden and all of that as well too. So getting to do a lot of that sort of stuff is in a way kind of extracurricular, and I've got and I pay for it with my own funds and all of that sort of stuff. So all the things I've done over the years, all of the traveling and all the different stuff like that, is really fun and really awesome to connect with these people. We, in fact, in the coming weeks here, one of the things I've really got to hunker down on during this break I'm going to have is getting some of the videos I got to put out from my last trip down to Southern California, because I got a couple of really great visits to share with all of you as well too. But again, like I said, with this whole idea with the show was to kind of expand the conversation a little bit more than just the West Coast and all of these awesome people. I'm going to continue to travel, and when the budgets start getting better, and when someday, maybe the show will take off, and maybe there'll be some real income that might start happening from the business end and the business side of what we do with the show here, and that'll increase our ability to go out and visit places outside of the West Coast and be able to expand on some of those sort of things we do on the video end of what we do here with the Urban Gardener channel. But the Let's Get Growing show was the answer kind of to that sort of situation, where I could talk to people from anywhere. That's one of the cool things we'll see here in the rundown too, is we've had guests on our show from Australia, guests on our show like our friend Rob, who joins with us every week from England and Europe. Our really good friend, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Christopher Bransdal from Norway. The show gives us that opportunity to be able to really expand that conversation to all of these other just really amazing, awesome gardeners out there. And yeah, we kind of focus on people who are, who have, whether they have their own YouTube channels, or we've had a few different garden radio show hosts, television hosts that we've had on our show, authors who have written books, and not just how-to books. One of my favorite books this year, we had an author we'll talk about here in just a little bit too, who wrote the book Garden Variety, a really cool fiction book, all centered around gardening, so all these different aspects of gardening. We've also, talked with people who talked about indoor house plants and stuff. These are sort of the things that we'll expand on too as we move towards this next year. But I wanted to kind of talk about some of these guests we've had real quick. Let's kind of do a little rundown here. When we first got the show started back this last February in 2023, I wanted my very first episode to be with somebody that I knew, that I had had conversations with before, to kind of give myself kind of that kind of little slow kind of start, kind of like just kind of like baby steps in a way, make it an easy conversation for my very first show. So I invited my good friend Wendy Fan on the show. We had Wendy on our very first show. It was really great to have that conversation again too, just to really get us started. And also too, I hope all of you, if you haven't seen any of these shows, if you haven't met any of these gardeners, that's again too one of the great things about our show, is this gives you an opportunity, if you don't know any of these people, to get to know them, to meet them, to see what they're all about, and to be able to go check out the sort of things that they're sharing with all of us in their different garden adventures that they're doing. And so our second show was really the big show for me. I was really looking forward to our second show, because this guy was one of the people that I really, next to Ray Browning in a sense, was just really one of those quintessential YouTube gardeners who just really, if you want to learn something about gardening, if there's anything you need to know about just really good, solid garden information, I go to Gardener Scott And Gardener Scott is just one of my favorites. He's got a really great YouTube gardening channel. And I was just really excited when he agreed to come join with us on the show. And then our third show was another person I was super, super excited about because I listened to his podcast. I've been following along with him through other gardeners and a couple of other gardeners I knew from some other channels a few years ago. And that was Farmer Greg Peterson at the Urban Farm urbanfarm.org, where you can find his Urban Farm podcast. He has just a really awesome podcast. Same thing, similar to what we're doing here on the Let's Get Growing show, just introducing and getting to show you guys all these just really wonderful people and awesome gardeners. And then for our fourth guest, we had with us Bevan Cohen. Bevan joined with us to talk about his new venture this year. He started his podcast, Seeds and Weeds podcast, this year as well too. Just a really awesome little podcast as well, and really cool, fun little conversations. He even had us on the podcast as well. And again, too, also, I've been on Farmer Greg's podcast as well, too, with a couple of episodes just recently as well. And one coming up, too, where we had a really cool, fun conversation about my garden story as well. So we'll be talking about that as those things start coming out, too. And then we had talked with, from Black Gumbo Gardening, Scott Head, who has a really awesome channel, again, focusing kind of on backyard gardening, gardening in the South too, just a lot of different ways and things and limitations and stuff like that to gardening. We had a really great conversation about that stuff. I've been following his channel for years now. It was just really great. And then our next show, we got to talk with Jared Gettle from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. This was just a really awesome show. I was really looking forward to this one. We had spent actually a few months trying to arrange and get this conversation all put together, and we had a really cool, fun conversation. One of the very few pre-recorded interviews. We like to have all of our guests live on our show here. We are a live show, but with guests like Jared Gettle, we'll make some time and set them aside and have them on as a pre-recorded interview. And it was just a really great interview to get to know about a lot of backstory on Baker Creek, the whole seed catalog, the heirloom exposition, which is just a really great event that I look forward to every single year. And then after that, we had with us author Lamanda Joy, where we talked about one of my favorite books, a book that I used years ago when I was helping out a group of people in getting a community garden started. Lamanda Joy is an author of a book on starting community gardens, and was also heading up a really cool little gardening online type of symposium type of thing as well too, that we talked about. And that was just a really, really fun conversation. And then we talked with Karen Hugh, who is author of the book Leave Your Troubles Behind. I just loved this book. I found this book through another podcast, which is totally different, not even gardening related at all, but it was a podcast that both Karen and I are big fans of, called TBTL. And just a really, really fun podcast that both of us have been listening to for many, many years. And I found out about her book through the TBTL community. And I bought that, read that. And when I read that book last winter, I was like, I have to make sure that I have her on our show so we can talk about that book, because it's just such a really, really cool book, because it really explores some of that other stuff we talk about with gardening, some of that more mental end of it all. A lot of us use gardening and growing our plants and our different things as an escape, and it really helps us escape from all of these crazy things going on in the world. And she kind of talks a lot about that in that book, Leave Your Troubles Behind. It was a really great conversation. And then we had probably one of our if you go back and check it out, I want to tell you, this was probably one of my more, and when we started the show, We knew, being a live show, like I said, we like to have our guests on with us live. We knew that when we got started with the whole thing, that eventually we were going to have some issues with being a live show. And this was the episode with our good friend Nick Fedoroff, who is a radio and television gardening host down in Southern California. His radio show is actually syndicated across the U.S. in all sorts of different radio stations, but he's also a local PBS Southern California gardener for their local PBS television channels and one of their local news stations as well too. So Nick's been really awesome for us as well too with our channel. We've been down in Southern California. We've been on his radio channel. I've also appeared on his television show as well too. And Nick actually was one of the very first people that I've actually had as a guest here in my home garden as well too. As he was traveling through Oregon, he came and visited us as well too this year. It was really great to see Nick. So it was awesome to get him on the show, but our interview kind of really went haywire because in planning for this show, we thought it would be really cool because Nick also does these live presentations himself for different gardening shows and home shows and events down in Southern California. So we thought it would be really kind of cool because the date that we had open for the interview was also a day that he was doing one of these presentations. So he thought it'd be kind of cool to do the live interview with a live audience there at his show. But all the technology totally went wonky on us right in the whole middle of it all. So we barely, he couldn't hardly hear us. So we just, we tried to do the interview. It didn't do very well. And we did end up having him back on later on, which had a little technical snafu as well in our revisit when he came back and joined with us just a few weeks ago. But we did get to have a lot better conversation with him and dig into his gardening story. And then for what was basically the final episode, our 10th show, our final episode of what was our spring season of the show, we went to England to go talk to our good friend over at Simplify Gardening, Tony O'Neill. Tony is just a really great gardener, someone I've been following for years on YouTube and following all the sort of things he's done. So again, too, a really great rundown of those first 10 shows there to kind of, show what I'm talking about when it comes to what type of guests and what we were getting with those first few shows that we had there. Those first 10 shows were just really, really awesome. And we really got to really go into and do some other things. We were really producing a little bit more. I had some people who were involved in helping me produce the show at the time. And it was about this time that a lot of that stuff started kind of falling back to just myself. So that's something that I think a lot of people who were watching the show kind of noticed as we moved past these 10 shows, that the show kind of evolved and changed a little bit more. We started focusing on doing just more of the idea of that long form interview with a featured guest, because in those first 10 shows, we also had 2 other segments where we brought on a couple of other people. Is one segment called Are You Following Me? And on the Are You Following Me segment, let's see here, I'm going to find it. We started with basically, Are You Follow Me? The idea behind that was kind of following Instagram gardeners, Insta gardeners. And that's what that segment was all about, was that there's just really all these really cool Instagram gardeners. Been on Instagram the last couple of years, trying to post more content there, more so just kind of really giving you, that's where you're going to find like really kind of like the pictures and the rundown of each of my individual crops and things like that that are going on in the garden. That's where you're going to find a lot of those sort of content from our actual garden, is through Instagram. But I also follow all these really other wonderful gardeners. So we did the Are You Following Me segment. And in that first show, we had with us the ever hopeful gardener. And then we had with us Gingerfoot Gardens for our second show. And with us in the third show was Hook and Garden. And Hook and Garden was someone who was involved with a contest that I was in a couple seasons ago. And so she has been someone I've followed and kept along with after that contest. So I thought it was really great to have her on there. And someone else I've followed for a while too, as well, was Julia Dimekos, the gardening girl. And it was a really good, fun conversation. We talked with the Little Green Shoot and My Serene Garden. We talked with two of the sisters in the Garden. We also talked with the Homesteading RD, as well as Rachel from Rachel's Allotment. And again, just a really fun segment. I really enjoyed the Are You Following Me segment, because again, like I said, I've been doing a lot more with Instagram and following along with all these really great gardeners, and so having that segment was really, really fun. So, as we kind of had to pull back a little bit, as the show kind of was just I had to start producing and doing things more independently. I kind of had to pull back on some of that as far as that went with the Are You Following Me segment. I really kind of missed that. We'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing here in 2024. But our other segment that we had as well too was a channel of the week. Now, as I also mentioned too, is that one of the things I really like to do, we still kind of a small channel a little bit here, but I like promoting other gardeners and other small gardening channels. We talked about Rob's channel. So awesome to see Rob getting all of those really that really cool numbers. I think he said 70 some subscribers right now. I hope a few of you who are following along with us have gone over and subscribed as well and help increase that number. But that's what I like to do. I like to promote other gardeners and all of these really awesome people out there, and especially some of these really other smaller gardening channels. And one of the really cool people who's been following me now for a few years, I've seen Joe and been following Joe from Garden State Gardener. And Joe's really awesome. He's really great. He has a really fun live show that he produces on his channel as well too on Sunday nights. That's a really fun live stream to check out. We've gone and done that with him a couple of different times. We had with us Rachel from Oxheart Gardening. Rachel's someone I've followed since she very first started her gardening channel, and it's been really fun to kind of watch her garden adventure evolve. We had with us young little Nathan from Growing with Nathan. This was probably one of the funnest conversations we've had on our show all year, was getting to talk with young little Nathan. Nathan was awesome, and him and his dad work on science projects and gardening projects and make videos and do all of that. Nathan has a lot of fun with his dad doing all that sort of stuff. So I was kind of following along with what they were doing. Again, we promote gardening education on our channel. We love ensuring that we're teaching our next generations all about gardening. And it's just so fun to see young people like Nathan just enjoying gardening so much. And you see that picture of him right there. He's just an amazing young man, and you can just see it through how excited he gets every time he's making videos and doing things with his dad and all that. So it was a really awesome conversation, and we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing Nathan again on the channel here too, hopefully pretty soon again. I just really, really had fun with that conversation. We talked with Bloom, Where You Are Planted. Such a fun conversation as well too. She has such a really awesome space and a really great conversation. We also talked with Emmanuel at Ultimate Gardening, another young man who's on a gardening adventure of his own, trying to build and create gardening content and do what he can in building, this sort of stuff from a young age as a teenager, and he's, yeah, I like to give him a lot of encouragement, and as well too, he started his own little type of podcast where I got to go on there and talk with him. That was put on his channel here just a little while back as well too. So you can go check out the conversation I had with him on his channel. Go show, and again too, show all of these people's support too. That's kind of a big part of all of this as well too, is to kind of show all of these great people who are sharing all of their garden adventures with us some support. And then again too, we did that last 10th episode. 10th episode we did from England, where we were talking from Tony from Simplify Garden, but we also got to talk with Jason from the Cloud Gardener. And Jason's someone I've just really super enjoyed following. I follow him more so from Facebook than other places, but he does have YouTube and other social media as well too. But Jason grows from a balcony all the way up in this building. I mean, I think it's like 20 stories or something like that up in this building in England. I'm having a hard time now thinking of exactly what city it was, but yeah, he just this big tall building. He's up 20 some floors up there, growing a whole garden, has created this whole eco gardenscape on this balcony, and just has done some really amazing things. And he's taking his passion again too, similar story. And I love where I find some of the similarities between the things I've gone through in my gardening to other gardeners, and see how they kind of relates to other garden stories as well too. Because he started with this balcony garden. I started with a balcony garden when it comes to growing food and all of that. And then he turned it into this whole other bigger adventure where he's out now teaching and promoting small space gardening throughout England. And just a really wonderful story of how that has come to fruition for him too as well. So again, that's one of the things you're getting. You're not just getting really cool garden stories, but we're really getting to learn about these people and who they are and what they're doing with their garden spaces. We also got to talk to Guten Gardening, and we also had an Australia show as well too. We'll talk about here in just a moment too, for which was into our summer season. And we started off in those first couple of shows. We did an Australia show, and our guest was Marty from Marty's Garden. And Marty was just a really great conversation. He's someone who I've really loved to follow for many years now. Just a really great guy, a really fun gardener from Australia, and just really has that fun gardening spirit. And just again, just someone I really love following. So Marty's Garden, and all of those just really, really great gardeners on YouTube for our channel of the week segment. So again too, so really as we're moving forward here too into this next year, we are going to be bringing back these two segments. But the difference is that we are, instead of channel of the week and Are You Following Me being two different segments, we're going to merge them together into just one Are You Following Me segment. We'll talk a little bit more about that here as we move forward here towards our 2024 season. But yeah, again too, I want to again get a chance to mention some of these other gardeners that we've gotten to talk to as well too. But you kind of get the point here. I mean, look at this. I mean, we've still got a few more to talk about, but look at who we've already mentioned that we've had on the show already up to this point. We've had to have these really great conversations, and this was just really coming out of spring before we really kind of pared it down to just our featured guests. We got to talk to so many awesome people, and it was so inspiring, because this idea that I had several years ago, and thinking about it, and then thinking about who I'd want to talk to, and thinking about these lists of people that I was starting to create, like, oh, if I could talk to this person, I would, and so I was creating these lists, sort of as I mentioned at the beginning of the show. I have this dream list, there's a practical list, and then there's our small channel lists, and are you following, these sort of things that I have of these potential guests that I'm contacting and trying to have on the show. And when we kind of created that first initial rundown for the first 10 shows, I wanted them to be people that I was familiar with, that had conversations with, and kind of that sort of thing, and then kind of work our way into some newer people and even bigger content creators and people who are sharing their garden adventures, and that's just exactly what happened. I was just really so surprised at how many people that we were really wanting to have on our show that actually started showing up and actually agreeing to be on our show. I couldn't believe it. Again, as we'll talk about here a little bit more too, as we start talking about next season, um, just really amazing. So real quick here, I'm kind of running through our comments section here as well too. I want to kind of just give a real quick shout out to any new people I might see in here. Let's see here. We got Fields of Gold joining with us. Awesome to see you there. Thanks for joining with us here for today's show. We're talking all about our 2023 season here, and in just a little bit, we'll also talk a little bit about what we're looking forward to in our 2024 season for what is our last show of the year here on what is the eve of New Year's Eve. So our eve of New Year's Eve show. So really awesome to see you there. Fields of Gold joining with us. And let's see here. Darth. It's summer in Australia right now. Great time to check out their gardens. Yes, excellent. Yes, that's a great point. As we were just talking about with Marty's garden and all of that. And we'll talk about here too as well. Here, as I've mentioned, our Australia show. But yes, Australia, anything south of the equator, South America, Australia, you get into New Zealand and these sort of places where Africa, even, these are these places where you're going to find gardens that are in their summer seasons right now. Their summer actually just started as our winter just started. It's the very opposite for us. So while we're snowed in, we can check out some of those Australia gardens and see what they're growing as well too. And if you're lucky too, and you follow along with us on our Let's Get Growing gardening group as well too, you can follow with some of our Southern California gardeners like Wayne Elgin, who shares with us all throughout the winter season all of his awesome stuff that he's growing in his Southern California garden as well too. So really awesome. So really great to see everybody here. And so like I said, I mean, just really wonderful show that we've been able to pull off this year so far, and as before we get into talking a little bit more about some of these other guests too, I do want to make sure I mention all of the rest of our guests from 2023. But one of the things about starting the show or starting on a venture like this is kind of creating some goals. So as we initially started the show, there was these certain goals that we had. Now everybody is starting a venture, there's dreams of success. We think about the ideas like, oh, this wouldn't it just be amazing if we just got this big huge audience and all that sort of stuff. There's those sort of things, and I kind of put that in the dream category in a sense. But when we're thinking about goals, I wanted to be really kind of practical when we thought about what we were doing with our show this year. And so for the most part, our goal was those lists. I wanted to get on the best quality guests that I could get to have great gardening conversations. I wanted to get on really great, passionate gardeners who have small gardening channels and those Instagram gardeners and other people who share, whether it's, as we'll talk in the 24, TikTok and other places and stuff. I just, that's kind of what this space is here in our conversation and Let's Get Growing. And that's what our initial goal was to get on really great quality guests. More so than the idea of really this just big idea or goal in a sense of creating, I don't know, this success in the sense of having a larger audience. Then, I would say that, maybe in my mind, I would say that, if I was being realistic and I was being honest, I would say that, it wouldn't necessarily have the viewership numbers that I would have looked for had that actually been the initial goal of what we were doing in 2023. But it wasn't. Our goal in 2023 was to be consistent and to have the best quality guests that we could get on. And again, the other part of it was consistency too, was to be on here and to be consistent. We had a couple of hiccups throughout the year. There were a couple of weeks where things didn't work out. There was some scheduling issues. There was, some other issues, where I had a couple of things that had come up for myself personally. So those are the sort of things that'll, that are going to happen throughout a year. And luckily it was only, just a couple of times. We only had really a couple of weeks of breaks throughout the year. So as far as all of that goes, I think the show was a tremendous and amazing success, because we met those goals. We met those goals and we exceeded them. And that's what we're looking forward to, or looking for as, when we look back on this year at this time is, did we meet our goals for the year for our show? And as what I just ran down for those first 10, that was just the first 10 as we were coming out of spring going into summer. And we were really, really just smashing those goals at that point in time. And as far as goals for this next season, that will be what we're going to do, and I've got some ideas and some things that we'll be working on, and trying to put together some strategies and some ways that we can work on in building our overall audience for this next season, because that's what we're going to look forward to. We know we got a great place here on the Let's Get Growing show for a wonderful, fun gardening conversation that's not only educational, that you learn something from our guests, but also inspiring, because you'll get to learn about their stories and the things that drives them to do what they do with their garden adventures, and hopefully inspires you to do that as well too, for all of you who listen and follow along with us. So that will be our goal as we move into next year, is building onto our audience and that sort of stuff. But as far as our goal initially for this last year, as you could tell through that first initial little rundown there, we are totally smashing it. And as we're going to talk about some of these next few guests that we had moving into our summer season of the show, this is where things were really getting fun, because our first guest of our summer season of the show was another person who I was really excited about seeing, because again, too, so many people were early on gardeners that I followed, like Ray Browning and others who are on YouTube when I was first getting to learn about gardening and growing. It was these people that I was following on their channels and the things that they were sharing to teach me how to make my gardens better. So these were, again, too, were a part of these lists of guests that I had. And one of those on my list of, really for me, because he was just such an inspiration to me as well too, with his channel and everything, was kind of on that top that top list of people that I wanted to have on the show. And that was Gary Pilarczyk from The Rusted Garden. Gary was just a huge inspiration to me. And I just really have loved his channel and throughout the years. And he also too has gone from a smaller kind of backyard garden to a bigger homestead type of thing. So we got to have a really kind of fun conversation about kind of making those changes in those sort of things in garden spaces and all of that. But yeah, like I said, just one of those people who was very inspiring to me. And when we were able to book him to have him on the show, Gary Pilarczyk from The Rusted Garden, that's again too, it may have been really, I felt like we were really succeeding with the guests that we were lining up in that first season, but to start that next summer season with Gary was just really just huge for me. It was really huge. And then probably one of the most inspiring people in my garden story before I even got started gardening and growing, as far as vegetable gardening, I'd always been growing kind of plants and indoor plants, but I always had kind of a fascination with gardening and growing and radio and listening to the radio. And so where I lived in the Seattle area, this gentleman, Cisco Morris, was literally the gardening legend. And I would listen to his radio show just to listen to him talk, because not only is Cisco just incredibly smart, he's an encyclopedia of gardening and growing knowledge. He is also probably one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life when it comes to gardening. Cisco is a cut up. He can, he's got so many great, funny little stories about gardening and growing. And you should go back and check out this conversation we had with Cisco Morris. If you don't and haven't met or know who Cisco is, you've got to go check him out. And he's just he literally is a gardening legend. So to have Cisco on our show was just huge. It was huge. I gotten to go and meet him a couple of times at the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, a few different times, to go see his lecture and his talk that he has there. And again, too, talking about Cisco's humor. If you get to see him live at one of his talks that he does, this was a huge room, packed with people, a few hundred people packed into this room, and you thought you were going to a gardening lecture, but you ended up at more of a stand-up comedy show is what it was. I mean, Cisco is just so genuine, and his passion just literally bleeds through his personality, and he's just an amazing human being. So go check out Cisco Morris's episode that we did with him. And then we got to see Jemiah Hargens. Jemiah is just okay, one of the most awesomest and funnest souls and people that I've gotten to know as well too. Jemiah is founder and of an organization called Crop Swap LA down in Los Angeles. And Jemiah has developed these micro farms, and they are water recycling water micro farms. And he's doing these CSAs in these local areas, and what are basically food deserts in the urban Los Angeles area, where he's providing food to people who are within a mile of each of these little micro farms that he has. And a really fun thing about this conversation that we had was that he also took us on a little walk through and a tour of the Degnan micro farm that he has at his home there. So we got to get a really cool look right there live on the show of this really amazing garden space. And also to let you know too, as well, it is one of those videos that I am working on too, is a more in-depth look at that micro farm video that we'll have on our channel here in the coming weeks. But really fun conversation with Jemiah. I love his passion for what he's doing, and his mission for his organization is just really, really awesome. And it was really cool to get to see him again too on our most recent trip to California. And then our Australia show, where we got to talk to Charlie McGee, and he fronts a band called Formidable Vegetable that tours around Australia. They've also, they've come here to the States. I think they even played the National Heirloom Exposition one year as well too. They've also been around in Europe and England and different places as well too. But these guys, I just, coming back to the idea of a garden education and teaching young people about gardening. The fun thing about Charlie and his band Formidable Vegetable is that they're really fun songs and music that kids can really connect with as well too. And they talk all about gardening and permaculture and just growing and just all these really fun things, and really makes gardening and this whole idea of growing and all of that fun, for people, and especially young people, as they've also put out a few kids albums and all that sort of stuff too. So it was a really great, fun conversation with Charlie, because I've followed along with the sort of things that they've done for several years now, and just think that they're just a real cut up for a real band, just really fun and enjoyable. And that was just such a really great conversation. And then we had on the show with us Christy Wilhelmi, author of, again, I mentioned this just a little bit earlier, probably my favorite novel this last year, my favorite book, in fact, gardening book overall. And it was a gardening novel, a fiction book a story centered around this character Lizzie in her community garden, and it's a book called Garden Variety. Just a really fun fiction story with some garden tips and tricks and things like that, all kind of sprinkled in throughout the story. But the story has everything. It's got all these really great characters. It's got a villain, it's got a hero, it's got this, just kind of like really cool overarching plot that goes on throughout the community garden and this whole season. And it's just really fun. I really, really recommend everybody check out that book, Garden Variety. Christy was really awesome to talk to on our show. I did get to see her do a lecture. She did a lecture on composting at the Northwest Flower and Garden Show this last year as well too. And then I saw her again at the National Heirloom Exposition. She was down there as well, doing some speaking and her podcast as well too. And then probably actually the most popular show that we did this year was with this guy, Nate from Garden Like a Viking. Nate is his picture. I mean, I love the picture. I just think it's great because it just gives you that kind of Viking kind of feeling about everything. But Nate's just really kind of a really cool guy. He's actually got more of a really cool, fun, genuine smile than that serious look and everything. And he's just really knowledgeable about some really cool aspects of gardening and lifestyle and health and all that sort of stuff too. In fact, Nate does his live stream the hour or so before we start ours, the Let's Get Growing show. So as I'm doing a lot of the preparation for our show, I'm listening to Garden Like a Viking live stream as we're getting ready and prepared for the show and everything too. So I catch up with Nate practically every week before we get started with our show here. And it's just kind of fitting that he's actually really was one of the most viewed shows that we had this year. Nate has just a really spectacular following of people who just really, I mean, he's got an amazing community that he's built and just really, does an amazing job with all of that. And it was just awesome to be able to talk with him and discuss all of the different things that he does and gardening and traveling too. He's actually done a lot of world traveling and all that sort of stuff. It was just a really fun conversation. And then we got to talk with another gentleman that I met at an heirloom exposition a few years ago, Matt Powers. Now, Matt's just a great personality, really fun guy, but he's also just really incredible when it comes to the knowledge and science of soil. He's one of those guys who's, just really writing books and teaching people about some of the real in-depth knowledge of soil science. He's got the microscope. He's teaching us about all of the little nematodes and the fungi and all the really cool things that are going on in our living natural soils. And really, when it comes down to gardening, soil is really one of the most important aspects of all of our gardens. And so it was just really, really great to be able to talk with him and get kind of a really cool kind of discussion about soil science and all of that sort of stuff. Matt's just really great and really knowledgeable when it comes to that. And then on the next show after that, we got to talk with one of our great friends, John Kohler. John is just a really special human being when it comes to our whole garden adventure here on the Urban Gardener channel. He's really, done a lot when it comes to, being a really good friend. And it's just really awesome to be able to catch up with him every time we get to hang out and do all of that. When I first got to meet him, he was one of those first really popular YouTube garden channels and gardeners that I got to meet at a talk that he did at the Heirloom Exposition. And from there, I got to do some videos with him. I've helped him shoot his last 3 or 4 different Heirloom Exposition videos. I've gone to help him shoot videos in Las Vegas and Northern California, and also doing different other things with him too as well too. I'll share this real quick story. I went to go visit him in Vegas, and because he lives in Vegas, he gets these cool kind of residential discounts for some of the cool little shows and things that are going on in Vegas. And when I was there, he invited me to go see this kind of fun little rock show at the Hard Rock Cafe. And so here I got to go with one of my favorite garden YouTube idols, in a sense, to go see this fun rock show at the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas, with John Kohler. And it was just that was a real special night and really fun. And it was really cool. But again, too, just one of those things, where it was really great to finally get him on the show. We had to do a pre-recorded interview because he, it was all about getting him and timing and all that sort of stuff. But being such a real important part of our garden adventure here on the Urban Gardener and such a great friend, I had to make sure we got him on the channel. So we put him on a pre-recorded interview for the show, and it was really fun, really awesome. And then we got to talk with another great guy doing some really fun stuff out of Florida with some hydroponics and some really cool do-it-yourself hydroponics, low budget type of gardening. And that was some of the sort of stuff we talked about with Mike Van Doozy, and just a really great conversation there too. He's another one of those people who I kind of inspire me in a way through their story and what they're doing and what their mission is, and teaching people and educating people about growing their own food and how simple it is and what you can do with small spaces. And he takes it even that next level to some really cool do-it-yourself hydroponic gardening systems that you can create and grow, all sorts of really good stuff right out of your own small spaces. And then we had with us another special person, Kay Cottrell. I love Kay Cottrell. She's just, again, another really special person. I got so many stories and so many things I love to share about Kay. She was really one of those really, first people I started following with what she was sharing and doing with her channel on YouTube, like so many of these other gardeners. But also she was one of those people who was just really inviting to me when I was first going out and interviewing people and doing my videos for the Urban Gardener channel. So she's one of those first visit videos we got to do, checking out her old garden she used to have when she lived in Los Angeles. She had I'm going to tell you, probably one of the most amazing uses of space in a front yard garden space that I'd ever seen. It was really cool. And she was just, and continues to this day to be just really so supportive of what we do. And I really love supporting Kay Cottrell and what she does with her late bloomer homestead. And so she moved from that city garden to a homestead garden in Tennessee. So from LA to country living in Tennessee. So it was kind of fun to talk to her about all of those changes and those sort of things that, have happened for her in her garden adventure. And then we got to talk to our good friend, Christopher Bransdal from Norway, who we have on a channel all the time, but he's such a good friend that I had to make sure that he was on our channel as a featured guest for sure. He deserves a featured guest spot. And as well as our friend King Star, who both of those guys, we do a first day of spring type of spring special each and every year, with all three of us doing a little garden discussion and everything. So those two friends, I had to make sure that they got on as featured guests for our show because, they really deserve it. And they do really, really awesome things with their channels and sharing all of their sort of stuff. Kang, is someone I've followed for years through the pepper lovers community that he started years ago. He's developed his own pepper varieties and all that sort of stuff. He's just a wealth of knowledge. He does some indoor hydroponic stuff, just some really crazy cool stuff. Always love talking with Kang on the channel as well too. And then really probably one of my real fun favorite conversations was with Ashley from the Mocha Gardener. She put out a really fun book that I think is just so inspiring because she talks on so many different aspects of the importance of gardening and what it means to us as individuals and all of that too. And her book is just really great. And it's just, How to Become a Gardener is what the name of the book is. And it's just a really great book. I enjoyed it so much that, I knew that even before we got to talk on the show, that it was just going to be such a great conversation, and it really was. I mean, just we had such a fun conversation, talked about the the empowerment of growing things. And that's just one of the amazing things about gardening, is what we get from it, and it really does, give so much back to us. Our gardens give so much back to us, more so than just tomatoes. Um, let's see here. We also had joining with us Cindy Tobeck. Cindy Tobeck is a master of giants. She's a master gardener and grower of giant pumpkins and squash and long gourds and all those sort of things that competitive growers grow. So, I had to have her on. She did a little video interview for me for our gardening contest we were in a couple of years ago, so that I could grow one of the, biggest squashes for one of the categories. And so I had her on to talk about that. And so I knew that I had to have her on this fall to talk about her attempt at world records that she attempts every single year. So that was a really fun conversation. Talk about how she got into growing giants and all of that sort of stuff too, though. And just really fun. She's also a teacher. So we talk about gardening education. She's actually an educator herself as an elementary school teacher. And she gets to share all of these really fun adventures of growing giants and her different competitions and all that sort of stuff with all of her young students that she has in her class. And she also built and developed a classroom garden that she did at her school that she teaches at as well too. So we talked about all that sort of stuff. Just really inspiring. I love to see teachers who are inspiring young people, not just in their education, but in the garden as well. And Cindy does all of that, growing giants and educating future giants of gardening in her classrooms. So it's really awesome. And another teacher and educator and really good friend of ours, Mark Boucher Colbert, who actually in the first 10 episodes of our show was doing a segment for us called In the Garden, where he was doing some gardening tips and all of that, but he had to kind of pull back because of personal reasons and situation with his wife and cancer and things like that. Everything, as we talked with him in this conversation, so we brought him back on the show to talk about all sorts of things. And we got to learn that his wife is doing so much better and all of that sort of stuff too as well after all of that. And it was great to have him on the show. And we also got to talk about his card deck. He created this really interesting, cool, fun little kind of playing cards card deck thing for designing your garden spaces. So it was really kind of fun to have him on as he was launching that project and talk all about that as well too. And just recently, we had with us from the Rootbound podcast, Steve Ellington. Rootbound podcast is just a podcast where Steve talks with individuals about their favorite plants. And I got to go on his podcast and talk about one of my favorite plants, my spider plant that's behind me here. And we talked about that on his podcast. And he came and talked about all of his gardening and growing and his podcast and all that with us on our show. And like Karen Hugh, that we talked about a little bit earlier, the author of Leave Your Troubles Behind, Steve is also a person that I met through Karen and our TBTL podcast community. And so it was really awesome to also have another plant friend in that community as well that I could connect with. And then also we both do our podcasts and got to collaborate and do each other's shows. So that was really fun. And it was really fun to also get on and talk with him on his show as well too. And then one of our last shows we just did here recently was with Danielle Martin from Wicked Awesome Gardening. She joined with us too. She was a person who was in a gardening group for small YouTube gardeners that I was in a few years ago, and just kind of kept kept as friends on Facebook, and so I've been kind of following along with her garden adventure with Wicked Awesome Gardening and everything. So I wanted to have her on the show and make sure that we got her on. We were originally trying to do that for our channel of the week segment that we were doing. We were originally trying to do that, but we had a scheduling issues and couldn't make that happen. But she was just one of those people I wanted to have on our first year, so I made sure, and we just kind of bumped her up to a featured guest and made sure that we got her on for our one of our last interviews of the year. And then again, too, we also did have Gardner Scott back on a little while back ago for another conversation as our first return guest. And also we had Greg Peterson back on the show too, not too long ago. And as I mentioned too, Nick Fedorov, our first interview, didn't go as well because of all the technical issues. So we had to make sure that we had him back on the show just a little while back ago there too. Little small snafu as well too when it came to that one, but not as bad as the first one. And we were able to get a much better conversation with Nick about all of the things that he does with all of his different things that he does, as we talked about the television show, the radio show, and all that sort of stuff that we've also got to be on as well too. So, again too, really fun rundown there of all of the different guests that we've had on the show. I mean, look at that. I mean, we just spent all that time trying to give a really quick little synopsis of each one of those different guests there. Nearly 50 guests in total this year, and just how amazing really are all of those different people that we've gotten to talk to. I'm telling you, just so many cool people here, again too, just kind of running through the conversation here too. I'd love to see it. Yes. And again, too, one of the other things too I love about this show is also getting a conversation with all of you who are here with us live kind of started as well too. And so again too, I see a lot of the different comments and different things that you guys put in here, and also Jay with your awesome links to all of the different people that we're talking about here too as well too. So this is just really awesome. Love seeing you guys talking about and discussing all the different things that you're talking about in your gardens too here with us live. So that's one of the great reasons for all of you who are watching us on the replay to take an opportunity when you can to come and join with us live here on the show. You want to come here and join with us live? Definitely. But yeah, again, too, I mean, we've had just an amazing first year, and it's just been really great. And we're going to take just a real quick break here, and then we'll talk just a little bit about what we got coming up here for 2024.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
All right. Yes, excellent. And yeah, like I said, we had an awesome 2023. Now it's time for 2024. Whole new year ahead of us here for the Let's Get Growing show. And again, like I said, we've had such an incredible 2023 that I am looking so much forward to this next year in 2024 is going to be amazing. And at the front of the show, I told you I was going to let you all know who our very first guest was going to be for our 2024 season. And again, as I was mentioning, we've got all these different lists. I've got a dream list, of people I want to have on the show, and we are trying, we try to contact a few of them here and there just to kind of get a feel for where they might be as far as being guests and all of that. We have our just regular, other lists for other people. We're building newer and newer people, or we're adding newer people to our lists every day as we're discovering newer and newer things in the gardening community, in the whole gardening world, and constantly adding people to that list. But we do have these main lists, and I have this dream list, and there are a few people, and I'm not going to name the whole list or what my top is or anything, but because we've booked the very top person for our show, for our very first show, I did want to talk about this person for sure, because this person was a huge inspiration to kind of that transformation from just doing the show as kind of a fun type of hobby, kind of just sharing with people and seeing if I can create videos and doing that sort of stuff. So I kind of, this person was kind of that inspiration from a story that they shared years ago, actually. But I reflected on that story as I was trying to make decisions about what I was doing for this channel and what we were going to do as far as things that we've accomplished with our channel. And I followed this guy back when he had only like 20,000 people as subscribers to his channel. So he still had, a little bit bigger than our channel, but still a small gardening channel at the time, and was trying to decide what he was going to do. Was he going to, work that channel full time? He was really enjoying it, but he had things he could do in other directions as well. And he had to kind of make a decision of what he was going to actually do. And he ultimately decided that he was going to put his efforts and his passion and all of that into his channel, and to build on that. And what he did with his channel, and reflecting back to when he was talking about that, when I was watching his channel years ago, is so inspirational to see where he is today. So our first guest for this next year is going to be none other than Mark Valencia. Mark Valencia is the host of the channel called Self-Sufficient Me, and it's a channel out of Australia. Now, Mark is in I try to follow along with things going on in especially the gardening YouTube community and all of that. And as far as I can measure, or as far as I could figure out, Mark was the very first gardener on YouTube who had a YouTube channel to reach 1 million subscribers. Now, there are a few other channels who have reached that feat. And again, some of those channels and some of those people are on our lists, and we will be hopefully having conversations with some of those other ones. But Mark took that channel, as I was talking about, from 20,000 subscribers, and took it and decided to make it something serious, and really went forward. And just like I said, so inspirational to see how he just really built that up to the point where, again, when I first started my channel, I just kind of jokingly said to someone, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make it my goal, because there hadn't been any gardeners to hit 1 million subscribers at that time. And I was like, I'm going to be the first gardener to hit 1 million subscribers. I just kind of said it jokingly, never really have I thought about it in that sort of sense, other than more than that kind of a quip or a joke as I made at that point. But it was really something else to see Mark be that person to hit that first million as far as a gardener. And again, like I said, there's other channels like Epic Gardening, Gardening with James Prigioni. There's a few other ones out there who are 1 million plus channels as well too. And really inspiring as well. But Mark was just one of those people who I'd followed, and it's just, I watched him all the time, similar as we talked about with Ray, just one of those people that from early on, I was just kind of following with what they do. And that's one of the things that really is cool about YouTube, is that we get to really meet some of these people and really kind of get to know them and who they are through what they share and their content and all of that too. And Mark was one of those people. And so for me, he was being one of the most successful content creators on YouTube I think his channel is well over 2 million subscribers. I think he's heading towards 3 million subscribers himself. He is the most successful YouTube gardener and guest, in a sense, as far as content sharing and sharing basically a garden adventure with people. Like what our mission is here to do with the Urban Gardener is to get out and share with what we're doing with all of everybody out there who we can. And Mark has done a really great job at getting to meet a very, very large audience. And again, I don't know if I could handle having such a large audience. I think we talked about this one time. I just can't imagine what the comment section would be like for our channel and our show if we had had a million subscribers like that. I don't know if and I think we joked about this before too. I think Jay, our moderator, would go running. He would run from the show because it would just be too much to handle. I mean, we wouldn't even be able to read and all that sort of stuff. So it's in some of those ways too. I kind of treasure the smaller audience in some way, but yeah, it would be something else. I mean, we all dream about, as I said, some ideas, some success, and having a great show, and having all those sort of things. But I don't know. There could be, you know what I mean? It's be careful what you wish for kind of thing when it comes to some aspects of that sort of stuff, because I like to be able to communicate and talk with people and to see and see you guys have those conversations with each other even. You know, that I get to see in the comments section. So, you know, so when we're talking about having a channel of that size, then we're talking about having a totally different situation in our comment section. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, you know, like I said, it's going to be our goal as we're moving into 2024 to really try to build on our audience. I would love to see us get into, you know, you know, a situation with a, you know, a larger audience, to be able to reach more people, to have more people to be able to see and to listen to all of these really great conversations with all these different gardeners that we get to talk to each and every week. I think that would be great. I think there are a ton of people who would just really, really love that. I mean, I think one of the things that kind of holds us back a little bit is that we are a smaller channel. We only really have and are only really being seen by this really, really small fraction of people out there. There's just so many people who just don't even know we exist. And that's going to be our goal this next year, is to get out there and to hopefully let more people know that we exist and that we can build on that audience and get ourselves to hopefully we'll find that good, nice size and something that's great for all of us, so we can have a lot more people to have fun with and have conversations with here on the show, and also be able to share with everybody all of these other really awesome gardeners and stuff too. So again, really excited to announce to everybody that our first guest for this next year will be Mark Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me. I'm incredibly excited for that conversation. I can't wait to talk to him about some of all that sort of stuff. I mean, this is going to be one of those ones and one of those conversations that, you know, there's a few people out there who I really look up to, and it's going to be one of those conversations where I'm just going to have a hard time just kind of keeping myself together, because I'm going to be looking forward to that conversation so much. So I hope all of you do as well too, and we will try to hopefully get that set up again too. Like I said, we're going to be taking a break. This is our last show of 2023, and I'm going to take a break for a couple of weeks here. So this is kind of a little idea of what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to take a break for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to come back here 11 a.m. Saturdays, and we're going to just do some straight up live streams, just me and you, and all of that, as we, you know, kind of maybe go over some seed catalogs and talk about some different varieties, and looking forward to what we're going to be doing in our gardens. We'll kind of do some conversations of like that as we roll up to what will be our 2024 season of Let's Get Growing, and start our conversations all over again. Like I said, with Mark and a bunch of other people. We've got some awesome people that we're lining up. There's so many more that we'll be talking about too in the coming weeks as we get moving towards 2024 there. So, you know, just really incredibly excited for our show and for our channel. I do want to mention that we are, like I said, I got to take some of this time off. I mean, it's not even going to be really time off. I'm going to be in the background working and editing. I got all sorts of footage for different videos I've got to edit. So I can get some of these videos out for you, like I mentioned, from our most recent visit to Southern California. I've got some really cool gardeners and some visits down there. We went and did a meet up again with the Urban Homestead. I've got to get that video out to you guys. It's just, I'm really excited about that. And then I want to make more videos for our gardens. It's something that we kind of put on the back burner this last year in order to focus on the show here was, kind of, not doing as much of our videos out of the garden. So that is going to be one of our goals for the channel as well, is to kind of get back into our garden journals, to get back into doing our regular gardening content right out of the garden. And so we'll be looking forward to doing some more of that for the channel. And then, like I said, some things for the show. I will also mention one thing we are working on right now. One of the things is kind of a sense of being a somewhat of a victim of our success in some sort of way. It's a good thing, but we had all these amazing guests, like I said, nearly 50 of them. And I'd love to have all of them back on the show. But we also have these really incredible lists of people that I want to have on the show as well too. So we've got some awesome featured guests for next year. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to kind of expand things a little bit too. So this is something we're going to talk about, and we'll be talking a lot more too. So so I'll just announce that real quick here too at the end of this show, is that we will also be expanding to Sundays. We are going to put out a Sunday edition of the show. I'm working on some content and some different ideas that I'm putting together to put that together. And my idea around that is to get back some of these guests that we've already had on the show and have an opportunity for us to bring some of them back on and have some more conversations about different aspects of gardening. And this is where we're going to really get into conversations about individual subjects, whether it's pests, fertilization, different gardening methods. We'll talk about, different types of crops, cold crops. We'll just come up with all sorts of different subjects throughout the gardening season. And on Sunday, what I want to do is invite a couple of our previous guests to do what we'll call a gardening roundtable, where we'll have a conversation with all of these previous guests about these different subjects and kind of get in depth and have some in-depth conversations about some of that stuff. So it's cool to have a featured guest, get into their garden story, learn about them. And then on Sunday, we're going to really dig into gardening, and we're going to dig into some of that real cool stuff, as well as, like I said, we're going to bring back the Are You Following Me segment so that we can bring back more small YouTube channels, some Instagram gardeners, TikTokers, Facebook gardeners, bloggers, all sorts of people when it comes down to that too. So again, we'll look forward to doing all of that, plus a lot more, as I'll be behind the scenes in the next couple of weeks working on some of those details, and we'll have a lot more to talk about in those details when it comes to the weeks ahead. Again, like I said, we'll come back in a couple of weeks and start having some regular live streams, and we'll be able to get through some more of those details. But some really exciting things for us, an exciting year and an exciting 2024 to look forward to. And I just, it's just been really wonderful. I just, you guys are just so amazing. I did see, real quick, I just want to mention, I see Brampton Gardner. It's good to see you there. Thanks for joining with us. Connie, Dart, Jay, Rob, all of you joining with us here. Fields of Gold. Who else? We had someone else there too. I want to make sure they were in here. I want to make sure I mentioned them too as well too. When we have Fields of Gold. Oh, whoa, you guys have been talking. I missed out on some of this conversation. Anyways, again, like I said, this is just one of the great things about having this show. It's not just me getting to talk and ramble on with you about all of this really cool, fun stuff, but it's to see all of you guys in the comment section having a great conversation with each other as well too. And it was Janet Cruising Homestead. Janet, thank you for joining with us as well too in our comment section. Just really awesome. And again, too, hopefully we'll all be able to come together again in 2024 and be able to, really work on expanding our audience out and bring some more great gardeners into our chats here on Saturday each and every week, and be able to really, just again, just have some fun opportunity on the weekends for each of us to be able to kind of not only share our gardening and our gardens with each other, but to share in our passion for growing and to have a little bit of entertainment and meet new people and all of that. And that's really kind of what our goal and our mission is here on the Let's Get Growing show. And like I said, I think in 2023 that was basically mission accomplished for us. Absolutely wonderful year, and really looking to a wonderful 2024 with all of you this next year. So I think that's pretty much going to do it for us. We've had a really great conversation today. Again, so many wonderful things to talk about this year, but just really, a great opportunity for us here on the eve of New Year's Eve to be able to give a shout out to all of those wonderful guests that we've had this year on the Let's Get Growing show, to give a shout out to all of you wonderful, awesome people who are joining with me each and every week. And I hope that all of you make sure that you mark February on your calendar or come back with us here in the next couple of weeks for some of our live streams leading up to our 2024 season for Let's Get Growing. So be sure to come back and join with us here in a couple of weeks. I'd love to see you all in our new year. And again, here as we're heading out, be sure to give us a big thumbs up as we're heading out today, and hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification to be notified of our future videos and upcoming live streams and Let's Get Growing shows, as well as share with your friends. Again, like I said, that's going to be our big goal in 2024, is sharing the Let's Get Growing show with everybody and making sure that more and more people get to find out all about our awesome little show that we have here as we're growing and expanding into 2024. And check out our show at letsgetgrowing.live. I know we got to do some updates on the website. Again, that's something I'm going to be working on here in the next couple of weeks as well too. So much stuff to get caught up on. But again, to check us out at letsgetgrowing.live is our website. And also check out our sponsor, Ivy Organics. Again, it's a really a great way to support our show, is to support our sponsor, Ivy Organics, at ivyorganics.com. Use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, to save 10% off in their shop there. And then real quick, one last shout out to all of you to get in the description below to check out the link to our gardening community, the Let's Get Growing group on Facebook, so that you can come join with us there and share all of your gardening. Because as I always say, it's fun for me to be able to share my gardening and all of my gardens here with you on our channel, but it's so awesome for me to be able to see all of your gardens as well too. So it's an awesome place for you to be able to share your gardens with everybody else in our growing community. And again, yes, awesome. So awesome to see all of you. And again, I hope you all have a wonderful New Year's, and we'll see all of you in 2024.